Tatum's, and for my case study, I worked with a student who is about to enter the fourth grade. Um, while I was administering the informal reading inventory, this student became very easily frustrated and began to rush through a lot of the readings. When I talked to his parents, they said that his teachers reported that he's not very patient and that as soon as he starts to feel frustrated, he becomes very, very frustrated right away. Outside of the classroom, he's very competitive. He plays a lot of sports, including soccer and baseball. And he also becomes frustrated on the sports field since he's so competitive. If he loses or doesn't do as well as he had hoped, he becomes frustrated and his behavior, it's reflected negatively in his behavior. So we see some similar behavior with him outside of school in the sports field as well as in the classroom when he's reading. So it's my goal to help him modify his behavior and become less frustrated so that he can improve his comprehension while he's reading. The results of his IRI, I started him at the first with the word recognition and isolation, the word lists, the first part of second grade, and as well as the second part of second grade. He received zero, he got 0 words wrong. He made no mistakes with the comprehension during oral and silent reading. So then we moved on to the first half of third grade. He made 2 mistakes on the word lists, and he made 3 errors out of 151 words. And he had a 15% wrong on oral comprehension and 20% wrong. 20% of the questions were answered incorrectly on the comprehension of the silent reading. We moved on to the second half of third grade. He made 9 mistakes on the word list, 9 errors out of 171 on the word recognition while reading aloud. 25% of his comprehension questions were answered incorrectly at this level, and 40% of his comprehension questions were answered incorrectly at this level also during silent reading. So we also did a listening capacity test since he came pretty close, or he reached his frustration level. At that same level, the second half of third grade, he got 0 errors while completing the listening capacity test, which means I was reading aloud to him. And so he got 100% correct instead of 60% correct when I read aloud to him. So we also went one step forward with the listening capacity test. At a fourth grade level, as I read to him, he received 60% of his comprehensions answered correctly at a fourth grade level. This is where we stopped because it was clear that he reached his frustration level. So I would say he's a proficient up to the first half of third grade. So really, he's entering fourth grade. He's not too far behind, but in order to keep him from struggling in fourth grade, I came up with a behavior modification plan as well as a comprehension intervention plan that should help him improve his reading skills. The intervention started with behavior modification, and the way that I chose to approach this is to read a book called Ball Hogs by Rich Wallace. The book is at Ben's reading level. It's about a group of friends who join a soccer team, and they encounter a bully who rushes during soccer practice to beat the other players. And the moral of the story is that slow and steady wins the race. So as I talk to Ben, we'll go back and forth reading page by page. And I'm hoping that he'll connect this moral to his personal experiences and learn that slowing down his reading will improve his success. And he knows that since he's a soccer player himself, that if he slows down while he's playing, that his skills on the soccer field will improve. So hopefully we can make an analogy when he's reading, if he slows down, that he can also improve his success while reading. We'll also continue reading that book. We also take a look at sportsmanship and why getting frustrated on the soccer field as well as while you're reading is not good sportsmanship on the field, and it's not proper behavior for the classroom. As far as his reading comprehension skill goes, in order to help him with this, we're going to go through a number of techniques. We're going to use anticipatory study guides, which will help him prepare for what he's about to read before he reads it. It will help him organize and specifically look for what information he needs in order to answer comprehension questions and to complete assignments and to complete daily assignments. He will also participate in literature circles. This is something that he will need to do during the school year. So during a literature circle, he'll read the same book as a bunch of other kids in his group. It's a small group, usually about 4 or 5 students. And every chapter or the group will make frequent steps to discuss and analyze the text. And Ben will use, or the student will use, comprehension skills while fulfilling many different roles in the group, which means he could play the role of a summarizer, an illustrator. He could present the information to the rest of the group. And using all of these skills will keep him interested and engaged, as well as teaching him how to work with other students, as well as he works with his teammates. So this should help him with his behavior as well as practicing his comprehension skills. There are a bunch of other strategies such as rereading and highlighting and summarizing the text that he can use also to help him improve his comprehension. As I mentioned in my case study, none of these skills I believe he should just use alone. So for example, he shouldn't just reread the text, but he should reread and then the second time he reads, go back and highlight the important information that he's looking for. After he reads something, a text or a chapter of a book or an informational section, he can write a paragraph or summarize what he's reading. That way he can tie everything together. He can use what he's highlighted and reread to pick out what's important and what he should include in his summarization. So in conclusion, I think that doing some behavior modification, reading this book, Ball Hogs by Rich Wallace, and making connections to his personal experiences on the soccer field and in the classroom will help him bring his frustration level down and allow him to read slower, so that way he can improve his comprehension skills. Using strategies such as anticipatory study guides, participating in literature circles, and using rereading, highlighting, and summarizing are all good skills that will also help him work on his comprehension skills. And that is it.